people. So we'll get started here in just a moment. Appreciate you all being here. For everybody who is online, are you able to hear and see the screen share okay? Thumbs up or any notes in the chat if you can't. Great.
Hey, where's my chat?
Hey, Beth. Can you hear us okay?
Me?
Let's hear you, Beth.
I can hear you. I just unmuted myself, so.
Well, thank you.
Great, great. I'm gonna if we can shut the door probably,
Yeah.
so that the sound, thanks so much for your help, Andy,
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. All right, well, in the interest of starting on time, I thank everybody for joining, whether you're here in person or online, our Logopalooza Flex session. So we've been working really, really hard to take on something that we knew was ambitious, trying to refresh our institutional identity and then also come up with a Centennial identity that makes a cohesive brand statement across all of our materials, whether they're print or digital. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. I'm Nicole Cruz, your Director of Marketing and Communications, and I'm joined by Malika Smith, our Marketing Communications Program Coordinator, and Jesse Harbison will be monitoring the chat. So if you've got any questions, there'll be a couple of interactive parts of today's session. So appreciation to him for going ahead and making sure that we're all set from the chat perspective. I believe we may also have our freelance graphic designer, Catherine Messina, joining us via Zoom. So she is just going to join as a participant, but if there are questions that come up, she'll be happy to address them. So over the next hour or so, we're going to explore the new visual identity, both for our institution and for the Centennial. And as far as the end of it, session outcomes, we're hoping that you not only understand the why behind why we did this major overhaul, but that you also see how it welcome, Chief. How it fosters a sense of belonging across our campus. And it also extends outside of our campuses into our engagement welcome with Marin County. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the why, about belonging and how branding fits into that. So a brand is much more than a logo. It's our personality, it's the promise that we make to our students, staff, and the community, and it's our voice. So we want our College of Marin voice to be intelligent, where we're acknowledging that our students in our campus community, they're smart, they're motivated, and they're hardworking, but they're all at different places. So we're going to meet them where they are. Our voice is relatable. So it's genuine, it's welcoming, it's straightforward, clear, direct, and positive without pretense. It's also inviting. Our messages, they're positive, they inspire action, and they also draw on how we collaborate. Let's see. I think this is a part where we're going to take a quick interactive poll. So I'm going to pass it over to Malika.
Hi. So yeah, we're going to take a quick moment to do an interactive poll. So the question is, based on the brand voice, what is one word you hope students will feel when they see your materials, our materials, excuse me. And so you can either shout them out, people in the chat, you can put them in the chat box. And if you need me to repeat the question, I can. It is based on our brand voice. What is one word you hope students feel when they see our materials? Right.
Yeah, inspired from chat and learning.
Welcoming.
Multiple welcoming from chat.
Excited, I like that one.
Go for it. I see you. I see you.
Empowering.
Oh, no.
That's a good one. Empowered, empowering. Thanks, Jesse.
Exist.
Accessible.
Intrigued and interested.
Stacy, what was that?
Accessible.
Accessible. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Stacy. Yes, accessible.
Combination of either like representation or represented in the materials.
So you hope that our students in the community, it resonates with them because they see themselves as represented? Is that kind of what
Yes.
I'm hearing? Great. Thanks, Julianne. All right. Thank you for that part of it. And we will go on to our new institutional identity. So a little bit of background on our old logo, which was the College of, and then the line, and then you've got a hat on here in the front. That's so perfect. Thank you. It was
It's old fashioned now.
as of this summer, well, we're honoring our past. Right? As we're defining our future for, as one of the Centennial themes, we're absolutely living that here. So it was developed at a time when the college was not feeling like they were getting the respect that they deserved from the community. Felt like students saw us as, the second, place. If they didn't get into the university or college that they wanted to, then they would come here. And that was just not the case with the level of learning that was going on our campus. And so they wanted to elevate the status of the college and have the community see it as, not an alternative, but your first choice and a great path to not only transfer to a UC or CSU or other college or university, but also it was a smart fiscal decision. It was hands-on to equipment and class settings that you wouldn't have access to if you were in a huge classroom at a four-year university. So it did the trick. It was very effective for the time that it was implemented, but after the pandemic, we wanted to have something that spoke to that sense of community and that sense of belonging. And instead of having people look up to us, we wanted them to look to us. And so that's what the new institutional identity is, that's the design concept behind it. And so here are those elements in a variety of different, what we call lockups. So where you had the monogram element, now that's been put together with a logo type, a word mark, and you can use them vertically, you can use them horizontally. Here is our athletics identity, and I want to be clear that the athletics identity is a separate identity used by the athletics department. It was created, I think about 10 years ago, and it was something that once it was in place, we saw a lot of people gravitating towards it, even though that they weren't in the athletics department, they wanted to use it. And it's because there's a lot of design intent behind it. There's a lot of meaning behind it, and it was attractive and it resonated with our community. So I want to bring your attention to the athletics identity only in the fact that I'm drawing a through line so that you can see now how it's nested. Our old logo, it didn't really match when you put it next to our athletics identity. And so now we're working to nest our institutional identity and our athletics identity together. Now, for our Centennial visual identity. This was intended to mark this special occasion. This is a big deal, so we wanted to infuse some fun into it. The starburst, again, is part of that recognition that we are all part of one united whole, but the varying lengths of that starburst also speak to our individuality and how it's a whole bunch of different individual pieces that make up that greater whole. Talk about funning it up a little bit. Here's where we are bringing color into our palette of options. Now, if anybody saw some of the offerings that we had in the Centennial playbook a few months ago, there were a lot more colors that we had put together. But over the semester, the spring semester and the summer, testing them in different situations brought up some accessibility issues. And so we had to pull back on those. And this is what we finally settled on that would pass the accessibility tests and still provide a little bit of fun and celebration and excitement into the palette. So these lockups, again, are to be used when you've got a bigger area to work with. So if you have like a water bottle and you're gonna get a logo put on it, the vertical logo would be a great application. You're gonna get stickers made, you could do any of these, but the horizontal would be nice for some. If you look at these lockups, you'll see that the elements inside here have been taken out. So the established in 1926 is no longer there. It's out here and moved down here. Anniversary, 100th anniversary, not in there. So these are for applications where you don't have as much space to work with. Where if you shrink this size down to fit on maybe a pen, there's no way that you're going to be able to read established 1926 or anything else inside that. So those are examples of how you would use these different lockups in the various situations. And of course, for everything, I will continue reiterating that the Marketing Communications Office is here for you, help you with color matching, to help you with deciding on what to use on what piece. But these are just general guidelines so that you are all aware of what we're looking for in usage and application. Some do's. These are clear spaces, sometimes referred to as padding. So whenever you're placing a logo, you want to make sure that it's not bumping up against the edge of anything, or it's not too crowded with whatever you're putting it on. These are guidelines for sizing. This 3/8 of an inch is basically as small as you want to get it while you're still able to maintain legibility. Digital, you've got a little bit more room to play with, but also, we'll talk about this dynamic logo a little bit later, but selecting images that represent the college or the event, and that's something that our office, again, can help you with. Do's and don'ts. This is a fun one. I know sometimes people like to put the logo inside something, with change the background color, put a fill behind it. Oof, the 80s comes roaring back with that drop shadow in there. The starburst element, this starburst element should not be removed, separated in any way. You know, I don't know what's happening here. We're going into a different plane, but yeah, no stretching. Same thing here. Don't put it in a box, create borders. We're here to break down barriers. We're not interested in making borders, so don't put them around your logos either. Any questions on those things?
Is this on your, two questions there. On the previous slide, it said, at the bottom, it says that you guys, oh, sorry, previous. Yeah, now, on the bottom there, for questions about what content marketing and communication, that's on the homepage under one of those.
I'm actually going to send you a link to our virtual marketing and communications office that has a lot more information, but then also, you know, welcome to stop by at 941 Sir Francis Drake Drive anytime, or give us a ring and we'll give you the contact information for sure. We are on the web, but I'll make sure to include that, sending it out, because that's a good point. Any other questions before we move on to color specifics? Okay. So as far as colors, we have our institutional colors, and that's our gold and black is our primaries. And then we have given some additional options to our secondary color palette here. And these will remain as our institutional colors moving forward. For the Centennial, we've created 3 distinct color palettes, and these are only going to be in use on materials from this summer, June 2025, through June 2027. Why 2027 is a very good question because we're turning 100 in 2026. But our first graduating class isn't going to graduate until May, June of 2027. So we will continue using the Centennial colors, using the Centennial branding through that time. Is that clear? After that, then we'll revert back to those institutional black and gold with the secondary colors to accent. Jesse, is there?
Before we go a little too far,
Yes.
going a little back, I got a question from Heather in chat. What do you suggest to use for an Outlook signature as far as logos are concerned?
As far as
Logos, I believe.
the logos?
Yeah.
So during the Centennial, if you would like to use one of the Centennial logos with it, that's fine. I know that Catherine is also working on some specific lockups for email signature purposes specifically that you'll be able to download on our storefront site. Great. Okay, so each of these color palettes were put together with attributes attached to them. So this color palette is ambitious, bold, strong, determined. You can see some of the other attributes that are on here. And this is just to give you an idea of what the communication might look like if you're using this color palette. It is not an end all be all. It's just a suggestion. And these are things that we are happy to work through with you. Second color palette, we've got some more subdued colors. It's caring, kind, it's committed, diligent, competent, all of these attributes here in a more subdued palette. And then a third color palette where we're more collaborative, conscious, engaged, equitable, forward thinking. So these are subjective, and again, they are just suggestions. What we don't want you doing is mixing and matching. If you've got a scheme selected, you feel like it fits your messaging and the piece that you're working on, then resist the temptation to say, oh, I'd like to pick this from this and this to this, because all of this contributes to that cohesive, unified look so that while you might be talking to a different audience, it's still going to read as part of our overall brand. Any questions on that? Stacey?
This is continuing just for the Centennial, these three palettes, or are they?
3 palettes are just for the Centennial timeframe, and then July 1st, 2027, we'll revert back to those primary and secondary colors.
Okay, so we have, any other questions? So we have another interactive element. So in the chat or by raising your hand, looking at the 3 Centennial palettes, which one feels more appropriate for your area and why? There's no wrong answer.
Yes, for professional development, I would say number 3. I think that one makes sense. And some of the words in number 3 too. I was like, when I look at colors, just what I would think.
For from reading and writing lab, I'd say number 2, because it's got blue and gold, which is like Berkeley colors, and everyone wants to transfer to.
I'd say for EOPS Care CalWorks, next up, number 1, because it's just, we're all about diversity and the spectrum and all that kind of good stuff.
I'm in student activities and advocacy, and I'd also say 1. I think a lot of the words align, and you want to be as welcoming as possible to the students. I think it really shows that.
Me in the chat.
Chat has a lot of input. Lori and Emily and Rebecca all agree that 3 would probably work best for them. Rebecca was saying for microbiology, dyes for cells are often pink and purple. Lori was saying 1, the argument, because it's more vibrant and eye-catching. Lori agrees with that. And Katie was saying 3 for operations, because muted tones. And Ivan was thinking 2.
Thanks, everyone. And the reason why we ask this is because this shows and helps us see how we can be flexible with the colors, but we'll also stay unified within brand.
Lori, Emily, Ivan, did you want to come off mute and say anything about your choices? No
Yeah.
pressure?
Yeah, I really do like 3 because of the reasons many stated in the colors. But, 2, the gray, I don't know about, I like the colors in 2 and 1, but gray is just really odd to me. It's always the gray area. I'm just not hey, listen, no one likes gray cashmere with the cream, accent points, but the thing of that gray there, I wouldn't put gray on anything. There's just so many, I know that's shades of black, of course, but I'm anti 2 because of gray. That's all I wanted to say.
Fair enough. All right, super. As far as typography.
Oh, no, I said, woo. Oh,
About typography, I'm sorry that we're not gonna spend more time on it. We are just going to cover the 3 fonts that we use primarily from the design side of the house, and this is industry. This is what our athletics font was for the Mariners, and now we have adopted that for our institutional identity. Clear, direct, positive. You've got more motion, you've got more interaction. There's a little bit more movement and opportunity to work with this as a container, which is another something we'll talk about in a few slides. Avenir, we have used Avenir in the past, but what we are doing is we are simplifying the font family. We used to use Avenir Next LT Pro, and it has a whole bunch of different offerings for the text treatment. And because we are going to have so many activities, we're going to have so many things happening over such a wide time frame, we wanted to simplify the typography as much as possible. So again, getting that cohesive look and making the content stand out, making the design stand out, and the text support those designs. Stacy, I hope you're excited about Georgia being welcomed into our font family. This is a font that was specifically designed for screens. So its readability, its accessibility is fantastic for on screen, but it also translates to print as well. And this is just a quick typography sample, how you can use the different elements as title, subtitle, and then body copy. It's very clean, it's easy to read, easy to scan. So same thing here, just touching briefly on photography. Our freelance, fantastic designer, Catherine, brought to our attention that we want to have the website look more happy, look more genuine, look less posed, and making sure that we're using our students and getting them involved in the areas where it makes sense on our website. So these are just some guidelines that we are going to be using. And I know that a lot of people will select photos for social media or other purposes, newsletters. So these are things that you should be thinking about when you're selecting photos as well. If they're individuals, we want to try to make people as comfortable as we can when they're being photographed, so that you don't want them stiff or posed, or you may have a vision, and if they're uncomfortable, your vision is just never gonna come out the way you want it to. So making people feel comfortable and putting them in situations where they're in a natural setting, doing what they do, usually gives the best outcome. As far as environmental, you want to make sure that, of course, it's clean, the lighting is as best as you can get it, but most importantly, that it's got a depth of field and a perspective, so that it's not just a whole bunch of things that fade back into a muddy picture, but that you're really looking, boy, at the nice sunset here and the lead up to the building. You're looking at the stacks, and that's a very dynamic, motion-filled picture for a static photograph. You've got motion here from the angle that this image of the piano is taken. It's taken from an above angle rather than at the level of the piano, so you can see inside the keys. here we're capturing that angle of the architecture. So those types of things that you should be looking for as you are selecting photography. Illustration, this is a direction that we're going to provide a more modern look on our website and in some of our collaterals. So it's just clean, stylized details that emphasizes the poses and the expressions. Pictograms are along that similar family where it's clean, but it's fun. There's a lot of engagement, and there is opportunity for these, again, to read from different departments. So they may have different elements inside, but how can we make it look like it's cohesive and part of our overall intentionality? Iconography, these are great for navigating websites or on print and digital material. If you want touch points, these are easily understood. They're generally two color, don't have a whole lot of detail. The goal is that they're simplistic and that they're understood universally. Any questions on those individual elements that we're working on in our department and that you'll be seeing more throughout our collateral online and in print?
Yeah, Julio.
How do you recommend that we balance, since we're in the middle of the Centennial and the push with some of the new graphics, call it, how do you recommend we balance that and integrating some of that into existing pages, existing materials, but also know that there's a cutoff for that Centennial branding?
Okay, so we're going back to our Centennial logos.
Yeah, but also like thinking about the colors, the aspects, the secondary colors, right? And then I'm thinking about some of the materials that we have, and they've been around for years. And so in trying to update some of that, what's the, from you all, like the recommendation for like timeline or integrating? And you're talking about like pictures, the new feel for the website and some of the things that y'all are working on. But how do you recommend we kind of start integrating some of that now, but also having a hard stop?
So the website, we're gonna stick with the secondary accent colors on those and let the events and activities that you're highlighting on the website using those colors that are in production for that time frame be what stands out, right? So the website is the container. But what we're putting up there as far as content, that's the intention, is so that it stands out, that those colors are differentiated from the primary and secondary colors that we'll use and that will remain on the website after the time has gone. So does that?
Yeah, and I'm also thinking like print materials and things like that stick around a lot longer.
Right, and same thing. So we've added colors into our secondary color palette so that we can still have some vibrancy, some fun, some more professionals side of things. So I think the hope is that makes the transition smoother so that it's not like party time, celebrate, Centennial, and then no more fun. We're done. Like we're back to serious black and gold.
Because I also know that we keep some templates and things around for a long time. And so it's just how do we kind of update that, but also keep some of this in there. As we've requested a few projects and we're going to be working with you all to kind of get some of those going over the next few weeks.
So I think, Julian, that brings up a really great point. And having that intake meeting, there's now a drop-down menu option when you submit a graphic design request, and it's request consultation. And I would encourage anybody who is going to have a number of jobs over the semester to request a consultation early in the semester, as early as possible, because that gives us a chance to talk about not just one project that you've submitted, but the things that you're thinking about and that will be upcoming during the semester so that we can plan for that. And Julian, if you know that you've got a whole bunch of things that you're going to be launching in the time frame, then we can work with you to make sure that, okay, this is something that we're gonna give out at Student Success Saturday every time. We're gonna have it modified for the Centennial, but then the next go around, once we're out of that time frame, we're gonna pull it back. We might leave some more fun colors in there, but it's gonna have, but meeting with us at the beginning of the semester or even a little bit in advance of each semester can give us that chance to see what your bigger picture is and help plan for the phasing in and out of it. We're already in it, so I guess just plan for the phasing out of it. Does that help? Keep asking, keep poking if it's still not clear.
I guess my follow-up is how do we best communicate what we're looking for in keeping this influence, but also we've had some clashing of styles before with like having a consultation and some of these things that follow afterwards. So I'm just thinking, like, continually thinking ahead, right? Like, how do we integrate some of this while also trying to develop what we're looking for?
Communication, open and honest is what I would say. If we've got clashes, then let's return to the table and see what we can do to figure out where we're missing as far as like what you're looking for as the outcome and what we're producing and how you would like to get us closer to meeting it. So it's continued conversations, I think, is really the answer, and seeing us as a partner, right? So it's not just that you're submitting a design order, it goes into the storefront, it spits out, you're assigned this designer and then here's your proof, but it's more of a collaborative experience where we're talking through those things and we have the chance, if we have it at the beginning of the semester, rather than if it's right at that moment, just to work through some of those things. Thanks for the question, though. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see where we were. We've gone through photography, illustration, and we were about to hit brand in action unless anybody else had any questions.
Wanted to know if there's sort of a sunset date on the old logo and branding.
We are trying to clean it up as we go. So there is a fellow who is taking an inventory, doing an audit of all of the, like walking the physical campuses and doing an audit of the instances where we have the old logo. That will then have a second phase where a cost is attached to some of these things. We've got a lot of signage. We've got a lot of buildings who have huge College of Marin with the old logo on it. How much is that going to cost to replace, and where does it make, that assessment will allow us to go to the Board of Trustees and say, here's where we're at, here's what the cost is, here's a recommendation, and get support for approaching that in a way where it's not possible to do it all at once. So how does it make sense to do it while we're catching them in the design and print side of things as new jobs are coming in?
I'm just thinking, because in terms of Canvas and another integration that we use for, they're called City Lab Course Design, which are using the old brand colors and logo. So would it make sense to make an appointment at some point and see if we can figure out a timeline to get those changed?
Yes.
To our vendors.
And I know that IT is still working through their Drupal migration also. So
yeah,
everything always happens is at the most opportune moments, and we're doing our best to allow them to make the upgrade so that then we can go back and make the adjustments as they see fit. But yes, please make an appointment so that we can get IT involved as well. Thanks, Stacy. Now, any more questions before brand in action? Anyone online have anything?
No, pretty quiet.
So these are some examples of how, and Julian, I don't know if this is going to help maybe bring clarity, but just that we are utilizing these elements in pieces that we are working on this summer. So this is the IJ insert that will run on August 17th. And this content was based on an economic impact study that was done and completed in May of this year and shows what a huge economic impact that College of Marin has on not only our Marin County community, but in the state of California as well. So realizing that this piece is going to go into the newspaper and unfortunately by many people, hopefully they'll use it as, washing their windows before they recycle it. But it's something that's different. It's something that's vibrant. It's something that's catchy. It's something that takes a thick report and breaks it down into bite-sized chunks that even if they just open up and see a couple of things, they'll see that College of Marin is out there.
So when's that coming out?
August 17th. So this should be this Sunday. So it should be in all Marin IJ subscriber pages. And then there's an online edition of the flip book as well.
Should be able to just kind of zoom in on some of the.
So this will be on our website with the news release. It's the whole thing so that you can go through it, both the whole economic impact study, but then also these bite-sized pieces that were outcomes from the report.
Does they look great?
Very much.
Beautiful graphic.
Okay, so here is how we were implementing some more of those illustrations in the different online applications, mobile, banners. And then here are some more.
That they look beautiful, awesome work.
These are infographics from that same economic impact report that'll go out in the paper this Sunday. These are just sample facts. Here's some examples of how we can implement in our posters. So again, you're seeing the photography, it's welcoming. You're seeing the content that's very easy to read. You can see the campaign element. So this is part of the 100 Years, 100 Stories campaign. And then for presentations, how this can be implemented and applied across your presentations. So visual assets integrated into whatever elements you're trying to communicate in a presentation format. And here are applications and swag. Rock charms coming soon. So these are just some different ways that it can be applied as you're thinking about swag for your, I know some departments and areas order individual swag for different events, and we're always happy to work with you on that. So reach out. Now, how do you get these things? So Jesse, if you would, do you have a question before we?
Melinda was asking for swag, can we get some V-necks?
Come and see us at the engagement fair after convocation and we'll see what we can do. Jesse, if you can drop the SharePoint link into the chat. So Jesse's going to put in a link to our SharePoint site. This is a virtual marketing and communications office, so it has more than just our logo libraries for you to download these assets. It's going to ask you, what does it say? You need permission once you click the link, and I'll send this out to everybody afterwards. Just request access, and then it'll send me an email, and it just, since it's a closed group, it lets us know that you are who you are and that you're supposed to be here accessing these files. So this is your guide. It's got the visual examples along with the file names. So when you go into our logo library, which I may need to authenticate at this point. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll skip the authentication point for now. But here it will take you into this, you authenticate, it'll say, oh, you still need access to this click the link and then we'll get you in here. It will send you to a list of files. And then you can say, okay, I'm looking for the monogram. Search by image or by file name, and then click download. So we've got all of the different lockups. White, this is called a reverse. So if you're printing or if you're placing the logo on something that's a colored background, it will show up. Centennial lockups for download, as well as the color versions. The athletics logos will not be available for download because again, that's another department. And so to be using those, you should be part of that athletics department. So if you've got it on your email signature now, check for that email signature download and replace it. Any questions on that part of it before we go over just some file formats and some more of the housekeeping type side of things as far as storefront, getting in, putting in requests, and why it's important to go through that process?
I also want to say it looks great. So thanks for all the hard work on this. And I very much appreciate the template. I think you mentioned the template over there, presentation template. So looking forward to being able to access that and be able to utilize that as well. So thank you.
Certainly. Jesse?
I'm thinking this is probably common sense, but also like we still use letterhead for
Yes.
letters and stuff. So we'll need all of that updated. Is that something that is already done or do we just do it individually?
That's a perfect segue for Jesse to come up and talk about the different
Yes, that is a very good question. And
types of access.
yes, we are.
Patients.
Oh. you want me to
Which?
do- Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Hello, Chad.
Great question. We've been working on updating the letterhead as well as the word templates that most of you probably use now for digital, letters that you need to send out to people. We are in the process of doing it first for leadership and then working into individual departments that have had their personalized letterhead over the years. All right.
Good, thank you.
In addition to that, so on the print side, many of you, if you don't know me, I'm Jesse Harbison. I work in the print shop. If you're creating your own documents, you've seen now how to find and use the logos in the appropriate ways. When you get to the print side, you can go to our storefront. I'm sure we can share links, things like that. If you don't already have them, most of you probably do. Design is where you're going to start if you have things that need parts that you can't update yourself or things, graphics you want to integrate, and you can start with a graphics request then. And then after the fact, once you've gone through the whole design process, then you can submit a print request if you have a print part of the job, and we'll take care of the rest from there. If you're designing your own documents and you grab the logo and you want to turn something in for us to print, a few things to keep in mind. We love to get PDFs from you. If you don't have them, that's okay. The storefront will generally convert that to a PDF. Like if you have a Word doc or something like that, there are certain things it won't accept. So like a .pages file, which is I think what Apple uses for their word processing, it's not going to work. So what you need to do then is to export it as a PDF and then upload that. Okay. Couple things to think about when you're creating your own stuff. So copyright, everybody knows it exists. It's pretty complicated sometimes. We are in an educational environment, so fair use applies, but it's pretty strict. So you want to be careful with it. And I encourage everybody to look towards open educational resources, which often don't really have a copyright aspect other than maybe attribution. And if you're just, doing documents for in-house, it doesn't really apply because it's your material, right? We also, when you're creating your own stuff, keep in mind, if it's going out to the public, it's another good time to check in with us and the designers, because we're gonna be adding language to it that's necessary for communicating with the public, like accessibility information, letting people know if they need, accommodations or something like that, right? And equity information as well. We like to include to, inform the entire public, what our purpose is here, right? Then just take a minute to think about what you want it to look like when it's done, right? If it's just a document with, a bunch of text on it, make sure you build in a normal margin, right? If you're doing stuff on web, it looks really cool to have an image that goes right up to the edge, right? Like that. And that's kind of what you want on the web. You send that to me, the printer's going to output that with a white border all the way around. Like, that's not what I wanted, right? So you either build a border into it, or you need to ask for something called a bleed, which is basically we print it, we put trim marks on it, and we cut off the white borders, okay? But that you need to think about that when you're designing, because if you put the text up close to the edge like that, and then we try to cut off to the art, you're gonna not have a border anymore. The text might be off altogether. So just keep that in mind. File types I already talked about. I think that's it. Anything else?
Covered it from,
Yeah, if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We're print services, we got the storefront. You might know us as repro, but that's an old term, so just give us a call or reach out, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
we love it when people come over and visit us.
Yeah.
We'll give you a tour. We have these cool, huge machines and they do all kinds of things, and cutting machines and binding machines, and it's actually fun over there. So I would encourage anybody who wants to come over and take a tour and see what we're capable of doing, because we are going to try, in an effort to reduce the amount of budget that we're spending on swag, which we want to invest in some swag, but there are also some things that we could be producing in-house, as far as booklets and other fun things, notepads, and Jesse's back there going like, oh yeah, what's she promising that we're gonna be able to do? But you should come over and take a tour, because it is pretty neat, the capabilities that we can actually do. And we are one of the few community colleges that still has an in-house print and bindery. So it's very lucky. Okay. We are almost to the general Q&A period, but this is a part that I have been very, very excited about. It's something that I started working on in fall of 2022 when I went to a conference, and this person who was in front of me in the lunch line said, "Who are you? What's your job? What's your title? I don't care. Come to my presentation. I am not a designer. I'm not a marketer. And my friend dragged me here and they're making me give this presentation and I need people here." And I said, "What's the topic?" And it was me versus us versus them. And it was more of a behavioral sciences presentation on how institutionally we want to have a cohesive brand identity. But at the same time, we've got a lot of really neat individual things going on. And those individual things want to stand out as individual. They don't just want to have the same old black and gold applied to them. So this was a fantastic presentation. I'm so glad that she corralled me into going, because it was all about these things called dynamic logos, right? And so I think the big one that stood out from their presentation was MTV as an example, right? You've got that M and the TV as the container, but that changes colors, that changes what they put inside it. It can be animated, right? So now we have this industry font, we have this container that we can start thinking about what we want to put inside it that's reflective of our individual areas. So is that Indian Valley? Is it Mount Tam? Is it our graduates, right? Suddenly, all these areas and things that we're doing that want to stand out don't need their own individual logo. You know, we can do things to make that container work for us. right? Here's very, very engaging and dynamic dance images incorporated. So these were examples of how we can incorporate photography. We can also use patterns, so if certain areas have colors that they've taken on as part of their area identity, those colors, those patterns, I'm thinking of Becky and the dots and everything, those can be incorporated into our different elements. And then here you can see that illustration being merged in as well. So. Phew. And I have to give big thanks to everybody who was involved in making this very thick playbook, making it possible, because it was an initial vision of Shook's, and she had very specific ideas about how she wanted this to turn out. And again, I can't say how fortunate we were to have been connected with Catherine, the designer, who was able to understand that the job was to bring this about, not to come in and sort of put your own spin on things. And I hope that you all are as excited about how the direction things are going as I am, and that we've got a lot to celebrate. And we look forward to, again, being more collaborative. Don't just put those storefront requests in and expect your order number to be called and then walk away to your table. We want this to be a more collaborative experience where you're coming in and we're not just talking about that one project. Becky, did you have a?
I'm so excited. I cannot believe this is like A+, you know what I'm saying? Like A freaking plus. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of the college. You guys should take this show on the road. I mean, you guys should present this at a conference. This is just like a synthesis of so much education, talent, and so clearly laid out. I feel like this is completely accessible. I can do anything I want with it. I know how to get to you guys. I know how to create what's within. I mean, it's brilliant. So I say congratulations, and I can't wait to start playing with it.
Thanks so much. And thanks for all of your patience as we've really, the rollout was not exactly how it was intended. It should have been very smooth where we start, January, February of the spring semester, rolling out the institutional identity and getting people used to using that and how that's implemented before we, bam, here's the Centennial and beyond. But everybody's support and help has made it possible. And I'm so pleased that Shook's vision, I feel like, is going to be here for a long time. So, any additional questions? We'll open the floor. I will send the brand guidelines out to everybody so that you have that, as well as the SharePoint link, as well as the storefront link and any other. It's going to be a Logopalooza. But mostly remembering that we're here for you, and that we actually would like people come over and sit at the big table and think through things and make paper with Sharpie markers all over it with all these ideas, and then we come to hopefully communicate your message in a way that is resonant and that everybody walks away feeling like, yeah, we're in a good place with where we're going with this.
We also have treats most of the time. So.
I have a question. Is the SharePoint the place to go and retrieve the new letters of recommendation, letterhead, and things like that?
So it will be elements for that, but if for just the general school letterhead, that's something that we can put up there. If there's any kind of customization that you need for your department, then the place to start is through the graphic design.
Just because if there is a change, as you mentioned earlier in the presentation, we're all writing letters for the students who are trying to ascertain their first job, and I don't want to use the older letterhead. So
most definitely.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. I thought it was going to take a lot longer to get through that. So
Dynamic logos, so like that, I haven't seen that. That's really cool.
Chad agrees. That's so
Yay.
It's very fun and inspirational and.
Yeah.
It just makes me excited, you know, like I feel. Like, I know this is a refresh for the college, but I feel refreshed and
Right.
revived and like.
That's what we want. We want people to. I think a lot of the marketing, right? You can do a whole bunch of different things. You can do radio ads, you can do TV ads, you can geofence. We have a whole bunch of vehicles and channels available to us. But at the same time, it's the connections and it's having everybody sort of on the same page with an understanding of what we're here to do. So that maybe I can't help you, but I can recognize who can get you the help you need and do that warm handoff, which is so great that the Caring Campus initiative is all rolling out
Yeah.
at the same time, because that's the direction that we want people in the community, our students, prospective employees, current employees, want to be seen as a community who's all here. Nobody can do this alone. Nobody can do this alone. And the more that we get out and force ourselves to pry away from the work and the deadlines and everything, that is, as long as I've been here, the thing that has made it possible to keep going is that you've got somebody on the other end of the line who, it's not a, hi, how was your weekend? Small talk. It's, oh my God, I need you and I need you right now. I don't know what I need you to do, but I just need, and I'm looking at Becky because she's been that person a bunch of times. And this community is pretty amazing at coming together when things are needed and being there for each other to make it happen for our students or lifelong learners or our rental folks who are even on here, our Rotary people. We've got so many community partnerships and so many folks who are now, I think, realizing that COM is more than their walking trail or their Frisbee golf go-to spot. So pickleball, yeah. So I really appreciate everybody taking the time to attend this and try to digest it. It is a lot of information. Like I said, I thought that we would take a little bit longer to get through this, but you all are, yes.
Yeah, okay, so I think start here, go far was, do you remember that?
That was,
And now it's aim, learn, achieve.
yes.
Is there something in the works for the Centennial?
So Centennial theme is honoring our past, defining our future. I'll also send the link to the legacy site, which is we're building up the Centennial website so that it's got links to the playbook, to our events, to a little bit of the history of the college. So, and that it's populating with the first event, October 11th, the IVC showcase, and then continuing with the upcoming events for the rest of the year, in addition to promoting things like the ideation challenge, opportunities for students to submit their work, and then for the spring showcase for employees to do the same.
What's been the interplay with this rollout and well, you'd be able to look outside if it wasn't for the construction, but this thing right next to us, the CSS.
So the ribbon cutting, so that's scheduled to happen in February.
Or just a building opening,
Yeah,
just coming in
February 10th.
Yeah.
January, right? So
So we'll have a building opening, a ribbon cutting and activities that they have a color scheme for each floor. So passports, that's what's being talked about for that, by that subcommittee, as far as getting people, once we have the formal ribbon cutting part of it, making the tours more like a passport, that they're going around and finding out about the different departments that are in there and what the offerings are, and then getting stamps and swags along the way.
Exciting. Yes. We're done.
Nothing else from folks online or in here, then we'll wrap it up right at 2:00 and say that we're just an efficient.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Decide if you haven't signed, like, mark your attendance, so we have attendance.
Lori, is there something? You're good? Oh, bye, see you next time.
Chat really is excited about the dynamic logos. Have ideas,
They're really fun.
departments having specialized ones and all kinds of cool exciting things.
Yay.
So are you telling me?
I was gonna have a question for you.
Yes.
Yes. It's vintage, you just got this vintage, the
Well,
local center's been that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
Get a bigger.
Maybe you-
Yes, and website and.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You guys
Yeah,
made that,
you
you
can
can sell it,
sell
you have a lot of money one day.
Actually, I'm gonna have to put a tie again.
All right, folks,
Uh-huh.
I invite you all to come and stop by 9:41. We're gonna stop the recording and end the virtual part of the meeting, but this will be available on the Flex website of resources once it's processed. So thanks again for attending, and please look forward to seeing you at 9:41.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, someone did buy them.